With the advent of Chaos Rising coming up in the Pokemon TCG metagame, we're going to be looking at Zoroark and how to make the adjustments to meet the current demands, and how you can actually play this deck even with the rise of new contenders vying for the top slot. So stick around, guys. Hey, what is up, YouTube? This is Platinum Point, and I'm here to bring you guys yet again another deck profile. Today we're going to be going over, as I mentioned in the intro, of deck profile or an update on Zoroark. I'm going to be showcasing to you guys what adjustments I've been making in order to meet the new demands of the metagame, since we have new things such as Mega Greninja to contend with. We also have Dragapult having new evolutions prior to Chaos Rising with Perfect Order, and now going into Perfect Order it has some more tools to deal with. And with the rise of grass decks, I wanted to showcase you guys what I've been kind of testing around. So this is a variant that I've been kind of messing with. It's taking some ideas off of what Japan has been playing, and I've been adding a few of my own innovations to it. So without further ado, let's get onto the deck profile. We're going to start off with the Pokemon. We're running 18 Pokemon. Let me just move that here. So we're still running the 4/4 line of the Zorua and the Zoroark. Pretty standard. It is the heart and soul of the deck after all. Next we play 2 copies of Zekrom and 1 copy of Reshiram. Let me just adjust the camera a bit so that way you guys can kind of see. So I'm only running these right now. I've taken out the Darmanitan and Darumaka line because I realized in my testing that they ended up being bricks, especially with how the deck kind of the strategy moving forward is relying on your Yveltal to put your opponent into awkward board states in order to help you catch up in terms of gathering resources and then taking key knockouts using that, and depending on the matchup, you're just going to be using either the combination of Reshiram or Zekrom to just take out easy knockouts, because these pair allow you to handle basically most megas, and in the early game against just not most EXs, using the Zekrom is more than enough. And we already have a really good matchup into Dragapult that I felt like fighting the Darmanitan was the next logical step, and I've actually seen people in Japan kind of still testing Darmanitan, but I've seen some lists actually start cutting it. And in my own testing, I even took this to a league challenge recently pre-Chaos Rising, and I felt like the logic actually really helped me, and I didn't actually miss the Darmanitans. So continuing on with the Pokemon lineup, we play 1 copy of Pheasantipity. I play 1 copy of Meowth EX. This is mainly here to search out and fix your hand. Search for key supporters in order to fix your hand, or to search for key supporters to help gain more board advantage. Next, I play 1 copy of Pecharunt. We're still running Pecharunt because Pecharunt is just a really good way of handling being trapped, especially since everybody's using things like Clutch or Corner to try put you in awkward states, and Pecharunt pretty much just says your Pokemon can't be put in those awkward states. Continuing on, we play 1 copy of Yveltal. I got this idea off of Piper Lapine, and even looking at the Aichi list, I've seen a lot of not just Aichi but a lot of Japanese Zoroark lists, and I've seen it play the Yveltal, but what I've seen them playing is like 1 or 2 Yveltal, but what I wanted to try was an Yveltal and a Badoo lineup, because depending on the matchup, either one is actually good. In some situations, like going first, you want to set up with the Yveltal, so that when you have to attack, you can just clutch boss an awkward Pokemon that your opponent doesn't want in the active and just clutch it. And then for Badoo, you're here just if you're going second to just stop items so that your opponent can advance the game state. And then I also play 2 Monkey Dories, and I felt like the Monkey Dory is just really strong right now, and I feel like adding an additional copy back was just the right call. And in testing, and even in my league challenge version of this list, I ran pretty much a similar lineup to this, except I also played a second Yveltal and actually ran 19 Pokemon. But I decided to cut down the one Yveltal because I needed to fit room for some more utility cards, as well as some more disruption cards. Now that as Chaos Rising gets legal, you can actually move around some of these ratios, and I felt like right now this lineup is really good. So that's it for the Pokemon. We're gonna go over the supporters. We're still playing for Lily's Determination. It's pretty much the most important draw supporter that you'll ever need right now. One thing I did up is actually 4 copies of Boss's Orders. I decided to play 4 because in testing I realized being able to use a boss in order to strand a Pokemon that your opponent doesn't want any active and then just clutching away is really helpful, because it not only softens that Pokemon up to be knocked out with the Zekrom or Reshiram play, but it also allows you to kind of take control of the game, because your goal for this deck is to try to be the first to get the 2 prize knockout. Because in most of my matchups, what I've noticed is as soon as I take the first 2 prizes, I pretty much snowball, and if I don't, I have to have some way to maintain tempo, and Boss is one of the ways that I actually maintain and even command tempo. So I play it as a 4-of. It's a needed in this deck, and since you play Meowth and even Zoroark to draw into it, you have no reason not to play 4. Next, we play 2 copies of Cyrano. In previous builds, I played 3, but with my current build, since I'm playing Meowth, I felt like 2 is more than enough, since you can Ultra Ball into Meowth and then search the Cyrano going second, and then just or even turn 3 and then search out all your pieces to set the Zoroark lineup. To help assist with the early game, if I'm going second, I play 1 copy of Brock Scouting, as it's an additional, it's a substitute for Buddy Poffin if I don't open Buddy Poffin, and this is basically a searchable Buddy Poffin. And then next, for the last supporters, I play 1 copy of Janine's Secret Art. Pretty self-explanatory. It's energy acceleration for your dark Pokemon, and then 1 Black Belt's Training. So that's it for the supporters. Pretty standard. So for the items though, I've been kind of flexing and moving things around. So right now I'm playing 4 Buddy Poffin, 4 Ultra Ball. I'll explain a little bit about the Ultra Ball once we go through the items. Why I'm playing 4. I'm playing 3 Ends PP Up, 2 Night Stretcher. I'm also playing 2 copies of Special Red Card. This is the new disruption item that is available in Chaos Rising. I managed to get this on release day, both copies. So what this does is, if you have it, you can use this if your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining. What it does is your opponent puts their hand to the bottom of the deck, and then they have to draw 3. So this is basically Iono for 3. And what I like about this deck is, right now we're in a meta where people's hand size tend to get big, and since not everybody's running draw support Pokemon, the only viable draw support Pokemons right now that are available are, is either locked in a specific archetype like Kangaskhan, which allows you to draw 2, but you can only do it 1 time, the Dunsparce, and I think technically Dracolo counts as 1 too, but they're all locked into archetype specific strategies, so there's no really prevalent use of generic draw supporting Pokemon. So it actually, hand disruption actually becomes very effective moving forward. And since I'm not playing Unfair Stamp, I felt like Special Red Card is just that important, and I think it's just that much more of a asset moving forward. And then lastly, I play 1 copy of Pokepad. So and then 1 copy of Scoop Up Cyclone. So I got this item ratio idea off of Piper Lapine's list. And in testing, I actually like it because having the Ultra Ball here, having it at 4-up allows you to be able to have it if your hand's in bad states. You're able to, so long as you have the Ultra Ball, tutor into the Meowth and get any supporter that you need, whether it be the Brock Scouting, Lily's Determination, and you get to immediately just push your board out. And in most cases, if you're going second, you're going to Brock Scout into either a Lily's Determination or Serrano, depending on your board state. And because you're running this, you don't need to run that many Pokepads. I do want to try a lineup where I'm running, if I do find myself needing more Pokepads, a 4-3-3 line, because the benefit of having Pokepad in the early game is that it allows you to fill your board up easily, and then you use your supporter for that turn for either hand refreshing or for gusting up a Pokemon into the active. And obviously the reason why I'm playing Scoop Up Cyclone is it denies KOs, specifically for your easy to hit KO EXs like Pecharunt or Meowth, or even depending if the Fez has damage counter, so you're able to bounce it back to your hand and deny a easy KO, and it just saves you, it allows you to clear your board without actually losing and giving your opponent a prize trade. So that's one of the reasons why I'm testing it out, and it's actually been really well. Like in my league challenge, this saved my ass several times, being able to just bounce a Pokemon that I needed alive, or I just needed off the board so my opponent couldn't knock it out, and it just Scoop Up Cyclone is just that good. And then lastly, for the tools, since we're not going on to tools, I play 2 Binding Mochi. Since we're playing Pecharunt and we're not playing Hero's Cape, instead we're playing Scoop Up Cyclone, I actually found a need to bump this up to 2 since it allows you, it's a damage modifier item. It's just really helpful. And then lastly, for the trainers, we play 2 copies of Ents Castle. I want to play the Team Rocket's Watchtower because I do not like playing against Terra Box when they have easy access to Noctowl, or even like the one thing I do not like is the Dunsparce being able to just shuffle, draw 3. So like I am thinking about putting in a Watchtower, but I'm just still messing around with ratios and also like the type of A specs. So I feel like for now I'm just playing 2 Ents Castle. And then obviously we're playing 2, 4, 6, 8 Darkness Energy. So I hope you guys like this deck profile. I really like how Zoroark is just constantly evolving, and with the advent of Chaos Rising, you have so much tools in your toolkit that you can actually like flex a lot of slots, and your deck wouldn't lose a lot of consistency for that. So I am kind of interested in seeing like how this deck's going to evolve, and I am going to be experimenting with this list of a little bit more to see if there's other iterations that I can see being viable depending on how the meta develops. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that very closely. So I hope you guys like this deck profile. I will be doing another one. So the next Pokemon deck profile that you're going to be seeing is a is going to be a Dragapult list as well as a Greninja list. I'm going to be showcasing to you guys what I'll be playing for those 3 decks, because I may actually pivot for my playtest rotation for Pokemon between Zoroark Dragapult, and Greninja, as those are kind of what I feel like the pardon me, the top 3 decks. I might even play Team Rockets just because I love that deck too. So I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, crack that like button, and don't forget to stay on point, guys. Peace out, and I will catch you guys later.